Strength and sharpness of this fellow is as strong as an inferior grade martial monarch's. An even more horrifying thing was yet to be seen. Xuanyuan Zantian pointed with his halberd and stomped heavily on the ground with his right foot. A long crack appeared on the wind cloud platform, extending quickly. The vast wind cloud platform instantly split in two. With the strong rebound from his foot, Xuanyuan Zantian's speed instantly broke Mach 4. He had reached the limits of a half-step martial monarch. In a few flickers, he arrived before Chu Chao Yun. Life-extinguishing blood-reversing swordplay. Chu Chao Yun's reaction was faster than the eyes of the cultivators in the spectator stands. At Xuanyuan Zantian's seventh step, Chu Chao Yun let go of his sword. Then, he formed a circle of golden light with his right hand. Instantly, 8 pillars of light descended and Chu Chao Yun's eyes turned golden, giving him a noble, honorable, powerful, and aloof aura. Go! Chu Chao Yun heavily smashed his palm into the floating sword. A golden beam of light quickly elongated, crashing into Xuanyuan Zantian, who was rapidly approaching with a surging aura. Dang! The golden light made visible the Xuanyuan Zantian, who was moving so fast that no one could see him. It froze him in the air. The timing of this attack was extremely precise. This magnificent sword seemed to have a tacit understanding with Chu Chao Yun. After striking the weak point of Xuanyuan Zantian's move, the sword continued to easily break his point at heaven, stamping on earth in 2 or 3 moves. Ha ha ha! Unexpectedly, you were able to break my point at heaven, stamping on earth. This is an eye-opener. A great eye-opener, indeed. In that case, receive another move from me. Xuanyuan Zantian felt extremely happy. He was not dispirited at all when his move was broken. Instead, he laughed loudly. As the waves surged, he unleashed all sorts of powerful moves supported by the state of kingship, wildly attacking Chu Chao Yun. Every move Xuanyuan Zantian made was not weaker than point at heaven, stamping on earth. Several more cracks appeared on the wind cloud platform. Its recovery could not keep up with Xuanyuan Zantian's rate of destruction. Chu Chao Yun did not fluster. A boundless golden light came out from his eyes. Encased by the 8 pillars of golden light, he looked divine as he swung his sword and moved around. Bringing out the might of the state of light to an incredible level, Chu Chao Yun clashed head-on with Xuanyuan Zantian's state of kingship, not appearing inferior at all. He broke Xuanyuan Zantian's moves one by one. It has been such a long time since I have had such a hearty fight. You are even able to break my chain of 18 attacks. If you can break my next attack, then, I, Xuanyuan Zantian, can only concede defeat to you. Xuanyuan Zantian shouted, ancient and unending until the end of time. The vast sea changed strangely. First, it became a river, then a lake, after that, a small brook. Finally, that vast boundless sea ended up as a boundless plain covered in farmland. In an instant, all the spectating cultivators saw time move forward very quickly, seeing a boundless sea turn into a vast farmland. The strange changes conveyed the sense of, till the end of time. Even with how complex the world was, it was gone like a wisp of smoke. Faced this long passage of time, the spectators could not help but feel insignificant. If even the vast sea turned into farmlands, what then do humans count for? However, there was an exception to everything. Within that vast sea, an ancient and immortal person appeared. He carried the state of kingship, and after the tempering of the many thousand years, his sharpness gained a venerable and solemn quality, becoming much stronger by an unknown number of times. In the blink of an eye, 10,000 years passed. The vast sea turned into broad plains. Even to the end of time, I will still be here. The state of kingship is ancient and unending. Using this concept of the end of times, Xuanyuan Zantian tempered his state of kingship and his fighting spirit for 10,000 years in one breath. Then, he quickly unleashed his move. Just thinking about this attack made one tremble despite the warmth. Horror filled the spectators' hearts as they thought about how to block this. An ancient and drawn-out aura appeared on Xuanyuan Zantian's halberd. Everyone felt a heavy pressure, like a mountain pressing down on them. The dense state of kingship poured out uncontrollably, immediately tearing many tiny cracks in space. Sima Lingxuan frowned slightly. This was his first time to see a martial technique that he could not understand in this competition. He could not help but enter deep thought until suddenly reaching enlightenment. He muttered, "So, that is what's going on. He nearly scared me. He is not a true sage, so how could he have materialized a mysterious phenomenon of 10,000 years passing? He had only used the state of this martial technique to imitate such an effect. This kind of mysterious phenomenon can only last for 3 breaths. However, with just that, it is already very strong. With a 10,000-year-old state of kingship, Chu Chao Yun will be defeated without a doubt." Xiao Chen's conclusion was the complete opposite. He shook his head, not giving this martial technique a good evaluation. However, he did not give voice to his opinion. Facing this peak move, Chu Chao Yun finally looked serious. He quickly formed ancient hand seals, and the 8 pillars of light that descended from the sky merged together. Then, the pillars of light all poured into his body. This lent the golden glow that Chu Chao Yun gave off a sense of density. Somewhat stunned, Xiao Chen quickly used his spiritual sense to check the situation before saying softly, "Amazing. Unexpectedly, he has condensed his essence until it is solid. I thought that I was the only person under martial monarch that managed to do that." At this moment, Chu Chao Yun was completely covered with golden light. His holy and aloof mien became even richer. The light accumulated without him moving at all, like he was a gold sculpture made by a divine sculptor. Seeing his motionless opponent, Xuanyuan Zantian had a strange feeling. However, this state of kingship that was tempered for 10,000 years could only last for 1 breath. This was Xuanyuan Zantian's sure kill technique. If it did not defeat his opponent, he would suffer from a huge backlash and lose his combat prowess. Xuanyuan Zantian's only option was to defeat Chu Chao Yun. There was no other way. Ka-ca. When the heavenly war halberd was less than half a meter away from Chu Chao Yun, who had turned into a gold sculpture that seemed to have stopped moving since the ancient times, he moved. The light that condensed on Chu Chao Yun's body suddenly exploded. All 321 acupoints of his entire body released light. Every acupoint could release several thousand beams of light. When the 300-odd acupoints worked together, the boundless light layered endlessly. There were so many, they could not be counted, numbering at least in the millions. Chu Chao Yun became like a bright, blazing sun on the wind cloud platform, giving off a piercing golden light. Eternal light. When Chu Chao Yun opened his mouth, golden sound waves came out. It seemed like a divine sound, solemn, dignified, serene, and impossible to profane. The sword in Chu Chao Yun's hand moved at lightning speed, executing a complicated sword art. It was so fast that it could not be seen with the naked eye. However, the multi-layered, boundless, and unending golden light broke down every one of his moves for everybody. With each swing of Chu Chao Yun's sword, time paused. It seemed like another Chu Chao Yun had appeared in the world. From within the light, he swung his sword 99,900 times with every swing done with his full power. Eternal light and ancient and unending until the end of time unexpectedly produced similar results via different methods. When the cultivators in the spectator stand felt the similarities between the 2 techniques, they could not help but feel excited. The crowd originally thought that after Xuanyuan Zantian executed ancient and unending until the end of time, tempering his state of kingship for 10,000 years in the blink of an eye, his victory was assured. Who would have imagined that Chu Chao Yun would silently execute eternal light? In that instant, he sent out 99,900 sword strikes. The victor of this match was now hard to guess. When the numerous figures merged together, they sent out several thousand beams of light. The eternal light formed by Chu Chao Yun's 99,900 sword strikes clashed with Xuanyuan Zantian's state of kingship, tempered for 10,000 years by ancient and unending until the end of time. Bang! A thunderous sound echoed. The eyes of the crowd, who had been staring intently, could not react right away. They did not even manage to hear the explosion in time. When the 2 people, who had executed their best techniques, clashed, an intense energy exploded forth. That energy far surpassed the 2's control. Before Xuanyuan Zantian could make a move, he was blasted back like a fired cannonball. He broke through the strong wind cloud barrier and fell towards a spectator stand with undiminished force. A rumbling explosion resounded. The blast felled a group of spectators, leaving them a complete mess. Several cultivators sustained severe injuries from the shock wave and fainted immediately. Su. However, When Chu Chao Yun was sent flying by that energy, a beam of golden light descended from the sky. Then, after it exploded, another beam of golden light descended. A total of 9 beams of lights descended from the sky. As each beam of light exploded, it buffered some of the incredibly strong force. Chu Chao Yun stood on the wind cloud platform with a pale complexion. He panted slightly and looked very unsightly, his clothes very tattered. The golden glow had already vanished and the holy aura Chu Chao Yun had given off was gone. Although he was in a miserable state, in the end, he was still standing on the wind cloud platform. Compared to Xuanyuan Zantian, Chu Chao Yun was in a much better condition. The victor was clear in one glance. When the spectators saw this scene, they were dumbfounded. They had not expected a battle under the martial monarch realm to be able to create such a commotion. Even the wind cloud platform could not hold up. The referee was very stunned as well. However, as he was quite experienced, he quickly recovered his wits. He said, "Victor, Chu Chao Yun. You obtained 2 points." Only after a long time did the crowd finally react. They all sighed endlessly. The world has really changed. A battle between half-step martial monarchs unexpectedly caused such a commotion. They are even stronger than inferior-grade martial monarchs. Baichi's 4-season saber technique's 3rd move nearly broke the wind cloud barrier. If he used the 4th or 5th move, the wind cloud barrier will not be able to stop him. In that case, Sima Lingxuan should be even stronger. He definitely has the strength to break the wind cloud platform. If these fellows advance to martial monarch, then the older generations of martial monarchs would not be able to fight them. I have a feeling that this 5-nation youth competition will be able to open the doors to the Kunlun realm. An envoy of the upper realm will come. Despite the clamor, Xiao Chen closed his eyes and started to rest. Now that he had seen Chu Chao Yun's strength, he no longer feared anyone in this 5-nation youth competition. The peak was almost within reach. Next match, Xiao Chen vs Baichi. Finally, it was Xiao Chen's turn to fight in the 95th round of the competition. Furthermore, this time, his opponent was the noble clan scion known as the strongest bladesman in the younger generation, Baichi. The 2 great genius bladesmen are finally fighting each other. Let's see how far Xiao Chen can push Baichi. Baichi has yet to use the 4-season saber technique's winter saber and the final cycle of seasons. I wonder, what other trump cards does Xiao Chen have? Without the 4-season saber technique in play, given Xiao Chen's 60% comprehended saber intent, he would be able to fight on equal terms with Baichi. Not only that, he would have the advantage. Unfortunately, Xiao Chen, who also is a bladesman, meets with Baichi, someone who has the 4-season saber technique. For Xiao Chen to have comprehended his saber intent to 60%, that is proof that he has more talent with the saber than Baichi. However, the Heavenly Saber Pavilion's resources are inferior. Although Xiao Chen was still on a winning streak and the strength he had shown had proven to be unfathomable, the crowd still did not think that he could defeat Baichi. This was not because they looked down on Xiao Chen. It was because Baichi had the 4-season saber technique and he had practiced it to great perfection. There were many aspects to a cultivator's combat prowess. Cultivation was the foundation. Martial techniques brought out this foundation to best effect. If a person's foundation was 1000, a strong martial technique could bring out 100% of it, or even 200%. A weak martial technique might be able to bring out only 70% of the cultivation or maybe even just half. A strong martial technique was something every cultivator sought, even in their dreams. This was one of the major reasons why the great sects could attract so many genius cultivators. The strong martial techniques in the world were all held in the hands of the great sects, aside from those hidden in unknown secret lands, awaiting discovery. Without a doubt, the Bai clan was a noble clan that was as powerful as a great sect. The 4-season saber technique was one of those martial techniques that could bring out a person's cultivation by 200%, or even 300%. In the crowd's opinion, if Xiao Chen did not have a 60% comprehended saber intent, then based on the strength he had displayed, he would not be Baichi's match. He probably would not even be able to withstand a single move. The 60% comprehended saber intent introduced another variable into this fight, attracting more attention than it would have. Up on the wind cloud platform, Baichi's heart surged with a strong fighting spirit. The hum of a treasured saber rang out in the depth of his eyes. The sharp saber intent turned into a bright light and cut through space like a sharp knife as it flew towards Xiao Chen. The formless bright light seemed very solid. As it headed for Xiao Chen, it carried a sharp wind. Xiao Chen smiled slightly and a surging saber intent gushed out from his eyes. The sharp wind that blew stopped between the two before exploding. Keng Chang. The melodious and pleasing sound of weapons clashing came from the air. The berserk saber intent passed through the wind cloud barrier, spreading in all directions. Some of the closer cultivators could not help but tighten their grip on their weapons. Xiao Chen and Baichi were about equal. When their auras clashed, neither had the advantage. However, this was not the result Xiao Chen wanted. Suddenly, he squinted and the saber intent issued by Xiao Chen condensed itself into a line, like a formless saber. Kai! Kai! The saber intent tore through the air with a piercing screech. It immediately scattered Baichi's aura and continued on, bringing with it the might of the 60% comprehended saber intent at a fast pace. Baichi revealed a surprised expression. He had no time to think too much, so he could only tilt his head slightly to dodge. Hu Kai! The formless energy driven by the saber intent brushed past Baichi's cheek, cutting a few strands of hair that fell to the floor. Seeing the falling strands, Baichi was extremely shocked. In the clash of their auras, Xiao Chen had managed to defeat him without putting in serious effort. Baichi looked towards Xiao Chen again, this time with more caution. He said sullenly, 60% comprehended saber intent. Indeed, your talent for the saber is better than mine. If you had another 2 years and grew to a martial monarch, I would no longer be a match for you. After reaching martial monarch, all the essence in one's body would be refined into quintessence. That would be sufficient to resist the power of the cycle of seasons. The advantage of the 4-season saber technique would be insignificant then. Xiao Chen retained his sang-froid, neither confirming nor denying his opponent's words. He said calmly, "You will know soon whether we need to wait for 2 years or not." Several cultivators in the spectator stands were surprised at Xiao Chen's composure. They felt suspicious and said, "Strange, where does Xiao Chen get his confidence from? It sounds like he has a card up his sleeve, not caring about Baichi at all." At Xiao Chen's attitude, Baichi's face sank. He said in a cold voice, "White-robed bladesman, don't overestimate yourself. I only praised you a little bit. Don't think that you are already a match for me." Placing his right hand on his saber hilt, Xiao Chen said indifferently, "I have never looked highly upon myself. Now, you are already not a match for me. 2 years later, that will become even more obvious. Since you are not making the first move, then I shall." Ka-ca. Right after Xiao Chen spoke, he swiftly drew his lunar shadow saber. Strong winds blew from all directions and the clouds churned in the sky above, massing above Xiao Chen. Strong winds blowing everywhere and clouds gathering, this was the initial move of the lightning tribulation saber technique. Xiao Chen's figure flickered a few times before arriving in front of Baichi. Xiao Chen's attack carried the momentum of wind and cloud, infused with his 60% comprehended saber intent. Baichi quickly drew his saber and brought out his peak small perfection saber intent to its peak. He shouted, 18 heaven-breaking saber strikes first strike. Dang! The weapons clashed and Xiao Chen pressed forward gently. A surging energy poured over. When Baichi felt the might of the 60% comprehended saber intent, he jumped and was forced to retreat by 20-odd meters. Dang! 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 Having gained the advantage with the first move, Xiao Chen did not hesitate. He seemed to have turned into a saber with a sharp edge, sending out all sorts of attacks continuously. With the full power of the 60% comprehended saber intent, the might of his attacks was astonishing. Baichi, who was not mentally prepared, was caught off guard and did not know what to do. Retreat, 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 and retreat again. Under Xiao Chen's oppressive aura, Baichi could not gather the momentum necessary for the 18 heaven-breaking saber strikes. In an instant, he ended up retreating over 200 meters. Baichi's expression turned cold. He no longer tried to preserve his strength. So, he brought out the 1/5 of quintessence that he had already refined. Instantly, a dazzling blue light limned Baichi's saber. As the saber light moved, tiny tears appeared in space. The might of his attack increased greatly, his aura immediately strengthened, becoming at least twice as strong. Essence and quintessence. They only differed a bit in spelling, but there was a great difference in quality. Just having 1/5 of his essence refined into quintessence already resulted in such might for Baichi. It was hard to imagine the true extent of the power of a martial monarch, who had refined all his essence into quintessence. 18 heaven-breaking saber strikes, the 16th saber strike, furiously chopping the blue dome of heaven. Scram back! Baichi roared in fury. Since he was using quintessence, he tried to turn the situation around in one move. Xiao Chen did not show any fear. Scarlet color spread in his eyes as he released a horrifying state of massacre that merged with the peak state of thunder. A strange purple and red light appeared on the lunar shadow saber. You will be the one to scram. Wind and clouds gather, lightning of all directions, heed my call. Earthly lightning tribulation. 60% comprehended saber intent, peak state of massacre, and peak state of thunder all converged. They exploded out together with the lightning tribulation saber technique's earthly lightning tribulation. The formidable power contained in the saber made everyone tremble. Its aura was no weaker than Baichi's. In fact, it was even slightly stronger. Boom! A maelstrom of thunderclouds gathered above Xiao Chen's head and hurled down jagged bolts of purple lightning. Xiao Chen's earthly lightning tribulation landed heavily on Baichi's saber. Bang! 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 Sparks flew in all directions as the weapons clashed. Xiao Chen's feet did not stop moving, his saber continuously suppressing his opponents. This forced Baichi to keep moving backwards at a frantic pace. Great astonishment flashed in Baichi's eyes. He was extremely surprised. What cultivation technique does this fellow cultivate? His essence actually became solid. After he merged his two states and 60% comprehended saber intent, my quintessence refined from 1/5 of my essence is surprisingly unable to block him. He is already so strong before refining quintessence. How strong will he be when he finally begins to refine quintessence? After forcing Baichi back again, Xiao Chen completed forming the mysterious phenomenon of lightning behind himself, bringing it to its peak. As the thunderclouds churned, the sky changed color. An oppressive aura spread out, making everyone feel that a lightning tribulation would fall at any time and that Xiao Chen was the emotionless heavenly Tao that would unleash it. Heavenly lightning tribulation. Xiao Chen executed the second move of the final series in the lightning tribulation saber technique. He immediately burst out with purple light. When he swung his saber, he seemed to have transformed into heavenly lightning descending from the sky. Baichi's eyes flickered. He finally made his decision. He temporarily relinquished the thought of vying with Xiao Chen. He swung his saber and went totally on the defensive. Bang! Xiao Chen swung his saber, as though he was a heavenly being. An indistinct grunt was heard and blood trickled out of Baichi's lips. Then, Baichi was knocked into the sky. From the start of the competition, Xiao Chen's aura had been going strong and incredibly sharp. Unexpectedly, he managed to suppress Baichi all the way, not giving him any chance. Reducing Baichi to a sorry condition, forcing him into a constant retreat. Not allowing him to counterattack. From the start of the elimination matches, Baichi had never encountered a match where he had to spend so much effort yet ended up in such a miserable state. All the cultivators in the spectator stands were astonished. This was vastly different from what they had imagined. This Xiao Chen is extraordinarily strong. Without the four-season saber technique, Baichi will definitely be defeated. This is too unfortunate for Xiao Chen. Indeed, if Xiao Chen had another 2 years, the results of the match would definitely be different. At the sight of Xiao Chen's strength, several people sighed, pitying him. The moment the four-season saber technique was executed, the situation would surely turn around immediately. Even the strong Yu Chengxi could not change the result, so how could Xiao Chen do any better? Baichi was probably just waiting for Xiao Chen to finish executing the lightning tribulation saber technique. In the instant Xiao Chen's momentum plummeted, Baichi would execute the four-season saber technique, reversing the situation. As everyone discussed, Xiao Chen finally executed the final move of the lightning tribulation saber technique, the divine lightning tribulation. Layer upon layer of thunderclouds massed in the sky, an apocalyptic sight that stirred dread in those who saw it. The heavy atmosphere made it difficult for everyone to breathe. When Xiao Chen swung his saber, only that purple light remained, dazzling and resplendent. From within the maelstrom of thunderclouds, countless golden deities proclaimed, "The heavenly might is vast and puissant. All who disobey will be killed without pardon." The voices echoed, lending the aura of Xiao Chen's attack a strand of divine might. If this were executed by the Heavenly Saber Pavilion's founder, this attack would consist of golden lightning and be filled with divine might. Baichi's expression turned grave. He did not dare to be careless. He immediately drew out all his quintessence, layering a thick quintessence shield before him. Bang! Xiao Chen, who was high in the sky, flashed like lightning. He arrived before Baichi, arriving as planned, like a divine lightning tribulation. Thunder resounded. In that instant, the saber chi created a long fissure that extended continuously on the resilient wind cloud platform. In the blink of an eye, the wind cloud platform was split into two. This attack directly knocked Baichi back like a cannonball. Cracks appeared on his quintessence shield, spreading as time passed. After enduring the intense barrage of wild lightning for 3 breaths, the shield shattered. However, during these 3 breaths, the might of the divine lightning tribulation diminished significantly. Baichi crashed into the wind cloud barrier and vomited a large mouthful of blood. Then, he fell to the floor with a loud smack. The lightning vanished and the wind stopped blowing. After Xiao Chen executed the divine lightning tribulation, the momentum from the wind and cloud was all consumed. Silence descended on the wind cloud platform once more. Just by looking at the dragon chi released from the fissure, one could tell how strong that previous attack was. Ha ha ha. The lightning tribulation saber technique does indeed live up to its reputation. However, in the end, Baichi, have not been struck down. Baichi's hair was frazzled and his clothes messy as he climbed back to his feet. However, he laughed maniacally, venting all the tension he had been feeling since the start of this match. A strong and vigorous spirit lit Baichi's eyes. An intense fighting spirit flooded his heart. He did not show any fear as he said, "Xiao Chen, I have never been in such a sorry state as this ever since I became famous. You have thoroughly angered me. Now that you are drained of momentum, prepare to feel my wrath." The momentum from the initial spurt of energy would fade with the second spurt and be exhausted by the third. This was the result that Baichi was aiming for. He waited until Xiao Chen's momentum reached this peak. As long as Xiao Chen failed to defeat him when his momentum was at its peak, then when Xiao Chen's momentum plummeted, Baichi would quickly attack using the 4-season saber technique. At that moment, everything would come to an end. Xiao Chen would have a taste of falling from heaven and landing in hell. This was one of the best ways to bring down somebody. Not only could they defeat their opponent, it would cause their opponent to suffer a great loss in confidence and develop a heart demon, resulting in them being unable to progress further in their saber techniques. It's over. Baichi is going to execute the 4-season saber technique. Someone in the spectator stands could not help but sigh. The outcome could be easily imagined. The elders of the Heavenly Saber Pavilion had extremely anxious expressions. Zhang Kai said helplessly, "Our Heavenly Saber Pavilion has wronged him. If we had a martial technique that could rival the 4-season saber technique, Baichi would not be able to be so arrogant." Xiao Bai's pure and lovable face filled with worry. A hint of tears appeared in her bright eyes. Anxiety could be clearly seen from the wrinkling of her eyebrows. Jin Dabao kept fanning himself with his gold fan. He sighed and held his fan up, blocking his sight. "Hi. Never mind, this fat lord shall not continue watching. Old brother Xiao Chen still does not conduct himself properly. If it was this fat lord, I would not fight. I will simply concede defeat in a confident and mocking manner, frustrating my opponent to death." Long-lasting spring water, growing warm then cold. Baichi shouted, suddenly executing the first move of the 4-season saber technique. Immediately, the sound of gushing water was heard, coming from a surging river that seemed both warm and cold. Baichi's clothes fluttered as his essence fluctuated. The attack carried the surging power of the seasons, rallying its might as the strike headed for Xiao Chen, whose momentum was exhausted. Perhaps because the earlier exchange, where Baichi was beaten up to the point of helplessness, left him very sullen, this originally gentle attack was filled with resentment. The power of the seasons was hard to resist. When Baichi launched his attack, it carried a boundless wind as it surged ferociously towards Xiao Chen. Wind and cloud appeared once again in the platform. Xiao Chen's gaze remained calm. He did not feel any joy or fear when facing this four-season saber technique's first move. His heart was calm like the water in an ancient well, without any ripples whatsoever. When Baichi's saber was only 1 meter away from Xiao Chen casually took a step forward. One step, only one step, and Xiao Chen, whose momentum was exhausted, burst forth with even more intense might than when he struck with the divine lightning tribulation. Boom! Thunder rumbled in the sky, and in that instant, thousands of creatures awakened. Cries of all sort of birds and beasts resounded. As Xiao Chen swung his saber, he executed the four-season saber technique's spring thunder chop as well. Fu Si! Fu Si! The splashing of a gushing river resounded. When the two sabers clashed, a strong power of seasons carrying a more perfect state of spring promptly blasted Baichi back again. Baichi might have charged forward with a surging momentum, but his momentum when he was knocked back was much stronger. The crowd did not even have time to react. Baichi crashed into the wind cloud barrier. The impact was so strong that cracks materialized from behind him in the resilient wind cloud barrier. What's going on? What just happened? Did I see wrong? How could the one sent flying be Baichi? After the execution of the four-season saber technique, shouldn't Xiao Chen be the unfortunate one? Why is it that Baichi is the one sent flying? Everything happened too fast. The crowd in the spectator stands could not understand what happened. The audience was not the only people who did not understand what happened. Even the martial monarchs of the city lord's residence exchanged glances. They were not sure what happened, either. However, the expressions of the elders of the Bai clan changed drastically. The clan's first elder, who led the delegation, had a lifeless look in his eyes. He muttered to himself, four-season saber technique. How is this possible? Baichi vomited a mouthful of blood and stared at Xiao Chen. He muttered, that is impossible. How did you learn our Bai clan's four-season saber technique? Furthermore, it is stronger than mine. I don't believe it. Spring is gone and summer has arrived. The flowing flames burn the land emotionlessly. My heart is greater than the blazing sun. Baichi executed the four-season saber technique's second move. Baichi became like a blazing sun, swallowing up the desolate land. He shone brighter than the sun as he surged over with a boundless momentum. The spring winds have come to an end. Summer has arrived. A bright sun soars high in the sky, burning the land and sea to desolation. Xiao Chen took another step forward and turned into the blazing sun, burning the land to desolation. He was several times brighter than Baichi. Bang! The two blazing suns competed with each other with the power of the seasons. A saber chi soared out from each side and instantly, another fissure opened on the wind cloud platform, crossing the earlier one. The wind cloud platform was now split into four. The blazing sun that belonged to Baichi endured for a moment before shattering. Xiao Chen's burning to desolation exploded, knocking Baichi back once again. The wind cloud barrier was now completely covered with cracks, as if it would shatter at any moment. Likewise, Baichi's body was now riddled with injuries. Disbelief filled his eyes. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. Originally, Baichi thought that execution of the four-season saber technique would immediately turn the situation around. He had not expected that doing so would reduce him to an even more miserable state than before. With such a big difference, it was like falling from heaven into hell. How could Baichi feel satisfied at this? The wind is emotionless. Summer has passed. The world is full of emotions, holding on to them even to the point of death. The autumn wind rustles endlessly, sweeping away all emotions. The autumn wind rustles. The heavenly Tao is emotionless. Putting his severely injured body at risk, Baichi executed the four-season saber technique's third move. The wind rustles and rain drizzles. A cool breeze blows and autumn waters wash down. My fated person smiles faintly. I will give you a gentle saber strike. Do you dare accept? Xiao Chen executed the third move almost at the same time as Baichi did. Two loud sounds reverberated as the attacks shook the wind cloud platform. They layered upon each other, evoking a hazy poetic atmosphere. Boom! Before Baichi could get close to Xiao Chen, he was blasted back by a white saber chi that came from the lunar shadow saber. This time he ended up in an even sorrier state. The seemingly soft saber chi had a boundless toughness hidden within it. When it faced the firm and strong, emotionless autumn wind, it broke the firmness with gentleness. It shattered Baichi's saber technique and struck his body. The force that exploded forth from the gentle wind sent him flying once more. This time, Baichi broke through the wind cloud barrier. His flashing figure crashed into a spectator stand with great force. The cultivators there failed to react in time and suffered heavy injuries. When the several 100,000 cultivators saw this scene, they were dumbfounded. This was Baichi, a strong genius bladesman. He was ranked second in the previous 5-nation youth competition. With the strongest saber technique, the 4-season saber technique, he could compete against Sima Lingxuan. However, this person was knocked out of the wind cloud platform at this moment, his life or death unknown, completely defeated. However, when the crowd looked at the white-robed bladesman on the platform, his clothes were fluttering and his expression calm. He did not reveal any excitement, as if he had not worried about Baichi at all from the very start. It is as he said, he did not overestimate himself. Baichi is indeed not a match for him. The distance is too great. Yes, from start to end, Baichi never held the advantage. He did not even get the chance to execute the final 2 moves of the 4-season saber technique. With such strength, he is qualified to challenge Sima Lingxuan. Now, aside from Chu Chao Yun, there is yet another person who can fight against Sima Lingxuan. Indeed, I did not come to this 5-nation youth competition for nothing. In hindsight, the spectators now realized that what Xiao Chen had said before the match began, that he was not overestimating himself, was not arrogance but just plain indifference. No one then expected such a scene now. Sima Lingxuan, who had been maintaining a relaxed expression from the start, could not help but stand up. He looked at Xiao Chen, finding this person unfathomable. A small fluctuation appeared in his previously unshakable self-confidence. Instantly, strong winds swirled around him. In the middle of the surging winds, the Sima clan's first elder's face sank. He flung his hand out and drew all the berserk wind into his sleeve. Then, he said impassively, "Lingxuan, your heart is in disarray." Sima Lingxuan recovered his wits and calmed himself down. He said, "Many thanks to First Elder for helping out. However, it is good that my heart was thrown into disarray. If I always remain calm, my mental state will never improve. This Xiao Chen is a good grindstone for me." The First Elder smiled faintly and said, "It is good that you think that way." Chu Chao Yun looked at Xiao Chen. A barely perceptible golden flame flashed in his eyes. He had a grave expression that did not reveal what he was thinking. "The victor is Xiao Chen. You obtain another 2 points." The referred unhurriedly announced the result of the match. At this moment, Xiao Chen's golden dragon finished taking a bite out of Baichi's golden dragon. His golden dragon flickered with golden light and grew larger, burgeoning to 29 meters, the same as Sima Lingxuan's golden dragon. When the people of the Heavenly Saber Pavilion saw this scene, they gaped, wondering if they were dreaming. Zhang Kai muttered, "Unfathomable, he is truly unfathomable." Excited tears flowed out of Xiao Bai's eyes. Her pure face looked like she was both crying and smiling. She hugged Mu Xinya, who was beside her, and exclaimed, "Elder sister Xinya, elder brother Xiao Chen won. He won." Mu Xinya shook her head slightly and revealed a bitter smile. Her feelings were very complicated at the moment. The youth from many years ago had actually grown to such a level. The Bai clan elders gazed at Xiao Chen in a rather hostile manner. They wanted to rush down immediately and force him to tell them where he learned the 4-season saber technique. However, no matter how upset they were, they did not dare to mess around here. In the history of this competition, the sects that dared to cause a scene did not have a good end. After this fight, the remaining matches of the 95th round all seemed inferior. This made the crowd feel bored. Even the remaining matches of the giants did not seem very interesting. Occasionally, people would cast a glance at Xiao Chen. The spectators all discussed in soft voices, anticipating Xiao Chen's next match. They wondered if Xiao Chen would bring them another pleasant surprise. When this round ended, only 3 of the 8 giants still maintained a winning streak: Xiao Chen, Sima Lingxuan, and Chu Chao Yun. The number of people who could climb to the peak had been reduced again. The champion of this five-nation youth competition would definitely be one of these three. As for Baichi, the person that the crowd had placed their hopes on, he was no longer qualified to fight for the peak. In the remaining 5 rounds of this competition, these three people would meet each other in battle sooner or later. They just did not know who would meet whom first. Next match, Xiao Chen vs Xuanyuan Zantian. Once again, it was Xiao Chen's turn to fight. The somewhat subdued atmosphere immediately became lively. All sorts of discussion rang out. Although Xuanyuan Zantian lost to Chu Chao Yun and could no longer compete for the top rank, his strength was still clear for all to see, no one dared to doubt him. Be it Xuanyuan Zantian's state of kingship, his ancient and unending until the end of time, or his mysterious martial technique that allowed him to advance time by 10,000 years, he definitely had the strength to rank within the top 3 of the younger generation. The crowd was of the opinion that if Xuanyuan Zantian's opponent was not Chu Chao Yun, even if his opponent was Baichi, he would have a high chance of victory. If his opponent was Xiao Chen, Xuanyuan Zantian might even be able to suppress him, allowing the crowd to discern Xiao Chen's strength. Bang! Up on the wind cloud platform, Xuanyuan Zantian did not hold back at all. At the very start of the match, he pushed off the stage heavily. The vast state of kingship spread out like it was a boundless sea. Point at heaven, stamping on earth. The sea surged and 81 waves surged out as Xuanyuan Zantian pointed at the sky and stomped on the floor. Then, he attacked with a berserk aura. Xiao Chen instantly merged his 2 states together and infused his 60% comprehended saber intent before executing Wukui Breaks the Heavens. A long beam of light elongated and smashed into Xuanyuan Zantian, who was in midair. Using technique to break force was the specialty of Wukui Breaks the Heavens. When the might of Point at Heaven, stamping on earth and its aura had peaked, Wukui Breaks the Heavens broke it. Xiao Chen had never been a cultivator who only knew how to meet force with force. In terms of his insights and technique, he was inferior to no one. Having the advantage now, Xiao Chen used his stored-up momentum to execute the lightning tribulation saber technique continuously. Xiao Chen began an intense battle over the undulating sea. One side used the 4 seas state of kingship, the other used a 60% comprehended saber intent, state of thunder, and state of massacre. It became hard for the people to differentiate the two on the wind cloud platform. Waves splashed and strong explosions rang out. Thunder rumbled without end and a scarlet killing chi spread everywhere. Bang! Xiao Chen summoned the divine lightning tribulation and knocked Xuanyuan Zantian back. Xiao Chen stood in midair, holding his saber with one hand, his clothes fluttering in the wind. Xuanyuan Zantian performed a somersault and stabilized himself. He wiped off the blood from the corner of his lips and smiled. It looks like my other martial techniques do not pose a threat to you. Be careful, I am going to execute my best move. Purely in terms of offensive power, the ancient and unending until the end of time is stronger than the first 3 moves of the 4-season saber technique. I really want to see how you will deal with it. Right after Xuanyuan Zantian spoke, the boundless sea behind him started to turn into farmland. Time was merciless. In the blink of an eye, 10,000 years passed. Ancient and unending, only the state of kingship remained everlasting, never forgotten for 10,000 years. Within one breath, the strong mysterious phenomenon quickly finished. The state of kingship around the heavenly war halberd gave off an ancient and solemn aura. Xiao Chen shook his head. This move was indeed strong, but to him, its openings were obvious. Time moved by 10,000 years in the blink of an eye. In that case, what if one launched an attack within half a blink? The opponent's mysterious phenomenon would collapse on its own without any extra effort needed. A fierce purple fire burned in Xiao Chen's right eye, forming a purple arrow. The arrow quickly elongated. This move was called the Purple Thunder Arrow, Xiao Chen's fastest martial technique. After the Purple Thunder divine incantation advanced to the 6th layer, its speed surpassed the limits of a martial king. It did not have a strong explosive power or a strong offensive power. It only had a horrifying penetrating power and an even more horrifying speed. Shoo! In the time it took to take a quick glance, the Purple Thunder Arrow fired out. Instantly, a finger-sized hole appeared in Xuanyuan Zantian's chest, destabilizing the state of until the end of time. Xiao Chen seized this opportunity to rush forward and execute the first move of the four-season saber technique. Thunder rumbled and the power of the seasons caused Xuanyuan Zantian to vomit a large mouthful of blood. The so-called, until the end of time, functioned to temper the state of kingship by 10,000 years. Before the crowd's shocked gazes, it was broken within a minute. 10,000 years is too long. I will make the best use of my time. After defeating Xuanyuan Zantian, Xiao Chen's golden dragon, which was already 29 meters long, took a bite out of Xuanyuan Zantian's golden dragon. However, there did not seem to be any changes. Xiao Chen's golden dragon was already too large. Furthermore, Xuanyuan Zantian's golden dragon was much weaker. If one really had to find a change, it would be that Xiao Chen's golden dragon became somewhat brighter. The golden dragon's golden eyes glistened and dazzled. It looked very spiritual, like a real, living creature. In this round of competition, Sima Lingxuan's opponent was Wang Quan and Chu Chao Yun's opponent was Li Tianhua. Unsurprisingly, the two of them obtained victory easily. While the 97th round began and all the cultivators in the spectator stands were admiring the fantastic martial techniques, the city lord's residence's people were anxiously discussing the order of the matches. 3 cards sat on the main table. These cards had the names of 3 people written in black ink: Sima Lingxuan, Chu Chao Yun, and Xiao Chen. If nothing unexpected happened, the champion of this 5-nation youth competition would be one of them. After this round, this competition would only have 3 rounds left. Currently, these people were discussing which of the 2 they should match up first. Dragon Sealing City's city lord, Zhang Liang, held the 3 cards in his hand, swapping them around continuously. Clearly, this was not an easy decision to make. No matter which 2 fought first, the remaining person would definitely gain some benefits. Zhang Liang set down the cards and said to the people beside him, "Have you all come to a conclusion yet? Let us hear it." A gray-robed old man said, in reply to City Lord, "We feel that Sima Lingxuan definitely has to be one of the first to fight. From the start of the competition, he is the person who has revealed the fewest trump cards." Someone else continued, "Xiao Chen revealed his 60% comprehended saber intent, 4-season saber technique, lightning tribulation saber technique, state of massacre, and state of thunder. Chu Chao Yun revealed his 50% comprehended sword intent, peak state of light, life extinguishing blood reversing swordplay, and his sure kill technique, the eternal light. As for Sima Lingxuan, from the start up to now, he has only revealed the emperor's swordplay, 60% comprehended sword intent, and the state of kingship. These are things that he already had in the previous competition. He cannot have improved so little since then." Zhang Liang thought for a while and took out Sima Lingxuan's card, which was in the middle. Then, he asked, "What about the remaining person? Xiao Chen or Chu Chao Yun? I feel that it should be Xiao Chen. He seemed to have defeated Baichi too easily. I feel that it should be Chu Chao Yun. He dared to clash head-on against Xuanyuan Zantian's spear. Even Xiao Chen only used technique to break this move." As to whether Sima Lingxuan's opponent should be Chu Chao Yun or Xiao Chen, the people in the grandstand were split into 2 factions and argued without pause. Zhang Liang frowned and said unhappily, "Let's stop here. We will decide this by voting. Those who think that Xiao Chen should fight first, raise your hand." The 8 elders each made up their minds and immediately, 4 elders raised their hands. It was still a stalemate. When Zhang Liang saw this, he said, "In that case, I shall vote as well. Xiao Chen will fight Sima Lingxuan." After Zhang Liang said that, he placed Xiao Chen's card together with Sima Lingxuan's. A serious look flashed in the depths of his eyes. Zhang Liang said impassively, "Consider it as us wronging you. However, there is no such thing as absolute fairness in this world. The truly strong would not bother with such details, they would simply keep winning." At this moment, Xiao Chen, who had just mounted the wind cloud platform, did not know that the city lord's residents had made a decision that was disadvantageous to him. However, had he known, he would not have minded. Just like Zhang Liang said, all he had to do was to keep winning. When he looked at his opponent, Xiao Chen's delicate face relaxed somewhat. This was because he was facing another old friend. Yu Chengxi was dressed in pink, looking very pretty as she stood on the wind cloud platform. Her extremely charming eyes looked at Xiao Chen and she could not help but feel some regrets. The affairs of the world changed constantly, the future was hard to predict. There were some things that one could not anticipate. There was also some people that one would feel unfathomable. 2 years ago, when Yu Chengxi faced Xiao Chen, she did not even need to use her state to achieve a draw. Now, even if she used her full power, using it better than she did before, she would not be a match for her opponent. Yu Chengxi recovered her wits and smiled. Now that I meet with you again, I still cannot use my full power. Let's hold back and stop when appropriate. Whether Yu Chengxi used her full power or not, she would lose. Naturally, given that, she did not need to use her full power. Xiao Chen smiled gently and said, "As you please. You may make the first move." Jumping up gently, Yu Chengxi punched out, sending out a cool breeze as she did so. However, she did not use her state of light and cloud. She attacked using only her movement technique in Morning Sun Fist. Bang! Xiao Chen held the lunar shadow saber and casually tossed it to the floor. The scabbard immediately sank into the tough wind cloud platform like it was tofu. Since Yu Chengxi was not using her state, Xiao Chen did not intend to use his saber. His figure flickered as he executed the dragon claw fist to welcome his opponent. Berserk Dragon. Xiao Chen's vital qi moved through his bones and he clenched his right hand. An azure dragon head roared ferociously and clashed with Yu Chengxi. Bang! 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 Fists clashed as the two fought with each other. A berserk dragon roared and light flashed. Soon, the two had exchanged several dozen moves. Yu Chengxi was shocked to discover that when relying only on close combat techniques, without her state, she could not take Xiao Chen down in a short period. After another 100 moves, when Yu Chengxi saw that she could not do anything to Xiao Chen, she unleashed her state of light and cloud. A morning sun rose from the clouds as she sent out a fist wind, knocking Xiao Chen back by 100 meters. At the lunar shadow saber standing upright in the center of the platform. Then, she sighed, "I concede defeat. Hee. In the end, you are still not as good as me with close combat techniques." Without even giving Xiao Chen a chance to speak, Yu Chengxi conceded defeat and jumped off the wind cloud platform. Xiao Chen shook his head helplessly. After his golden dragon finished taking a bite out of Yu Chengxi's golden dragon, he gently pulled out the lunar shadow saber, returned to his seat in the spectator stands, and closed his eyes to rest. Endless chatter rang out around Xiao Chen's ears, the atmosphere became jittery. As the matches passed, everyone's emotions ran higher. In another 3 rounds, this 5-nation youth competition would come to an end, and the victor would be decided. Who was a true dragon, able to climb to the peak and be favored by luck? Who would announce the change of the age? The stage was already raised, and the curtains drawn. All that remained was for the main character to appear. The show was just beginning. The cultivators in the spectator stands all felt extremely excited. They hated that the matches of the final 3 giants did not start immediately. However, Xiao Chen was calm and collected. He quietly waited for his last 3 matches so that he could defeat the opponents before him and climb to the peak of this sky dome realm. Next match, Baichi vs Chu Chao Yun. During the 98th round, the referee slowly read out the names of the next 2 participants in a serious voice. Xiao Chen opened his eyes and stared at the 2 people on the wind cloud platform. He looked like he was in deep thought. Of the 100 participants, Xiao Chen had yet to fight 3 people: Chu Chao Yun, the noble clan's Li Tianhua, and the first seed, Sima Lingxuan. In the 98th round, Li Tianhua had already fought his match. Now Chu Chao Yun was fighting. This meant that Xiao Chen's opponent in this round was Sima Lingxuan. Suddenly, Xiao Chen felt a strong gaze. He turned his head to look and saw that it came from Sima Lingxuan, who was radiating strong self-confidence. His sharp gaze, infused with the state of kingship, pierced through space and pressed on him. "I will defeat you within 10 moves. If I take even 1 move more than that, then it will be considered my loss." Projecting his voice over, Sima Lingyuan dropped some overwhelmingly confident words in Xiao Chen's ears. Then, he looked away. Xiao Chen was unconcerned. He said softly, "If you were really that confident, you would not have sent me such a message. If you are that confident, then why bother looking at ordinary people like me?" Yun Kexin, who was beside him, felt that something was off. She asked, Xiao Chen, what's wrong? Was someone probing you earlier? Xiao Chen smiled faintly and replied calmly, it's not a problem. It was just someone trying to plant fear in my heart. Let's just keep watching the competition. The more confident someone was, the more afraid they were of failure. When metal was tempered too much, it would become brittle. This was a principle that had never changed since ancient times. Baichi had lost to Xiao Chen, there was no more hope of him gaining the first rank. However, if he defeated Chu Chao Yun, he would still have a chance to vie for the second rank. Before Baichi came to the competition, he had already anticipated losing to Sima Lingxuan. He had already been ready to settle for second rank. Although things had not gone as Baichi had expected in losing to Xiao Chen, he had to fight for second rank regardless of the situation. Furthermore, Baichi had lost to an outsider when competing with the four-season saber technique. He could not afford to lose this match. He had to use his full power to prove himself. Start. The moment the referee spoke, Baichi immediately attacked using the four-season saber technique's first move, long-lasting spring water, growing warm then cold. Using the power of the seasons, Baichi turned into a surging river and gushed towards Chu Chao Yun. Hu. A strong wind blew on the wind cloud platform. A boundless aura immediately surged, allowing the crowd to sense the strength of the four-season saber technique again. One moment ago, everything was calm and peaceful. In the next moment, when Baichi drew his saber, clouds and wind moved, and the sky changed colors, giving rise to a grand atmosphere. Life-extinguishing blood-reversing swordplay. Chu Chao Yun's eyes remained calm. When facing this famous four-season saber technique, he did not dare to be careless. His sword left his hand and floated quietly before him. He opened his right hand and quickly drew a circle of swords in the air with his flat palm. When the circle was finally completed, 8 beams of golden light suddenly descended from the sky and encased him. Within the golden light, Chu Chao Yun's clothes and hair all turned golden, giving off a boundless brilliance. He gently patted the sword in the circle and a dazzling beam of light immediately appeared and shot towards Baichi, who was in midair. Bang! Baichi could clearly be seen pausing in the air for an instant. That great aura of the power of the seasons was stopped by the energy contained in the golden beam of light. Chu Chao Yun's face looked holy as he muttered. A divine sound spread out and the 8 beams of light merged together. Previously, his eyes had remained black, but now they turned golden as well. At this moment, the essence in his body completely solidified. The sword that belonged to Chu Chao Yun in the circle of swords turned into a beam of light. When it shot out, it ripped open a pitch-black tear in space along its path. From a distance, it looked like someone had drawn a long black line on a white piece of paper. It looked exceptionally striking. When the crowd saw this scene, they immediately felt horrified. His essence is completely solidified. Its might is now comparable to that of an inferior-grade martial monarch's quintessence. Exactly what cultivation technique is Chu Chao Yun cultivating? Xiao Chen did not appear too shocked. He had already guessed long ago that Chu Chao Yun's cultivation technique was a heaven-ranked cultivation technique passed down from the Tianwu dynasty. Furthermore, it was likely to be of an extremely high quality. Many great sects had some heaven-ranked martial techniques. However, since the destruction of Tianwu dynasty, no heaven-ranked cultivation technique had been known to have been passed down. Dang! The horrifying energy on the sword clashed with Baichi's sword. A loud sound reverberated throughout the 9 heavens. The sound was so loud that it shook the eardrums, shaking their tympanic membranes and causing temporary deafness. Blood leaked out of the corner of Baichi's lips. His body was knocked back by 100 meters. This shocking sword strike completely obliterated the great momentum of the river and the power of the seasons. Eternal light. Chu Chao Yun had always been the kind of person who would take advantage of every opportunity presented. He would not give his opponent a chance to turn things around. So, he immediately leapt into the air, leaving behind golden afterimages. Then, tightly grasping the sword hovering in the air, he instantly executed Eternal Light. The 321 acupoints in Chu Chao Yun's body burst open and released a great light. Every one of his acupoints sent out several 10,000 strands of light. Combining the light from the 300-odd acupoints, the boundless light built up, layer upon layer. He turned into a golden blazing sun, one that hurt people's eyes when they stared at it. With the boundless light coating him, Chu Chao Yun immediately sent out 99,900 sword strikes. The many figures quickly merged together. This was the eternal light that could defeat Xuanyuan Zantian's ancient and unending until the end of time in an head-on confrontation. The instant Baichi landed on the ground, Chu Chao Yun arrived before him with a dazzling light. Flowing fire illuminating everywhere. Baichi felt helpless in his heart. He had no choice but to bring out only half the might of the four-season saber technique's second move to quickly mount a defense. Chu Chao Yun had not given him much time to react, so he could not completely unleash the full power of the four-season saber technique. Boom! Golden light exploded out and Baichi vomited a mouthful of blood. Once again, Chu Chao Yun knocked him back, sending him crashing into the wind cloud barrier. Baichi's clothes were in disarray, clearly, he was in a sorry state. Damn it! Baichi's internal organs received serious damage. The skin on this body was burned by the bright light, turning it into a sight too cruel to be seen. He felt extremely frustrated and furious. Chu Chao Yun's strength far surpassed Baichi's expectations. He seemed to be on the same level as Xiao Chen. Actually, if only considering what Xiao Chen had shown so far, Chu Chao Yun was even stronger than Xiao Chen. Baichi roared ferociously and used all the remaining essence in his body. He seemed to have gone crazy, throwing everything he had into this one attack, betting everything on the four-season saber technique's third move. Heaven and earth are unfeeling. The great Tao is emotionless. The autumn wind is boundless, sweeping across the world. Chu Chao Yun's expression did not change. He quickly formed ancient hand seals. Instantly, the thick dark clouds above Dragon Sealing's city churned continuously, opening up a hole. Unextinguishable divine light, Chu Chao Yun shouted after he finished forming the hand seals. 8 beams of light immediately descended from the hole and encased him. The beams of light contained divine might, forming an impenetrable defense. This was the move that helped Chu Chao Yun stay on the wind cloud platform when he fought with Xuanyuan Zantian. Even the combined shock wave of ancient and unending until the end of time and eternal light could not penetrate its strong defense. Keng Chang. Baichi's saber hacked on the beams of light and gave off a metallic clang. Unexpectedly, the beam of light that contained divine might had turned solid. What defensive technique is this? Unexpectedly, it is so horrifying. With such a defense, who short of a martial monarch can defeat Chu Chao Yun? Maybe there is some hope for the four-season saber technique's final move. However, given Baichi's current state, it is already amazing that he could launch the third move. It feels like this is impossible for a martial king to execute. The formless light was already very strong when it contained divine might. Unexpectedly, it even became solid. Loud exclamations came from the spectator stands. The crowd mostly had expressions of disbelief. The group of martial monarchs from the city lord's residence was dumbfounded. They had not expected this unremarkable move from back then to have such strong defense. Looking at the Xiao Chen and Sima Lingxuan card on the table, Zhang Liang revealed a helpless expression. He sighed and said, "Unexpectedly, I made a wrong judgment as well. I probably chose the wrong person to fight Sima Lingxuan. It's too late. Xiao Chen and Sima Lingxuan's match is next. There is no more time to change it." Looking at Chu Chao Yun, he definitely still has trump cards that have not been revealed yet. The moves he used are exactly the same as the ones he used against Xuanyuan Zantian. The other old men present sighed as well. Regardless of the result of Xiao Chen and Sima Lingxuan's fight, their greatest trump cards would be revealed. After all their trump cards were revealed, they would definitely be at a disadvantage when facing Chu Chao Yun in the last match. Zhang Liang cast a glance at Chu Chao Yun, who was encased by the beams of lights, unfazed by Baichi's four-season saber technique's third move. He said softly, "Maybe this is the effect of the mysterious luck. However, in the end, he will still have to rely on his own strength. Even though he has the advantage, he might not have the last laugh."